May 31st, 2006, Stockholm. A teenager bedroom server is about to become the most hunted machine on Earth. That server hosts a site responsible for bleeding Hollywood studios of $30 billion, crippling music labels, and making a mockery of international copyright law. 53 armed police officers storm the data center, seizing every server, every cable, every piece of hardware, in what should be the definitive death blow. By noon, Swedish prosecutors hold victory press conferences to celebrate their massive takedown. Hollywood executives toast their win, believing they have won the ultimate battle. The world's most notorious piracy empire, used by 25 million people daily, is finally dead. Law enforcement agencies around the globe breathe a sigh of relief. The establishment thinks they have successfully crushed the rebellion and restored order to the digital universe. But exactly 72 hours later, the platform blinks back online as if nothing happened. Its homepage now mocks them with a pirate ship firing cannonballs at a giant Hollywood sign. The world watches in absolute shock as the site immediately resumes its massive operations. It is a digital resurrection that defies all logic and leaves the authorities completely baffled. The hunt has just taken a bizarre turn. Here is what terrifies every government and corporation watching this unprecedented spectacle unfold. The site did not just survive the massive coordinated police raid, it essentially became impossible to kill. They seized every physical server and arrested the founders, yet the system still came back stronger than ever. If you cannot destroy this digital fortress, you cannot control the internet itself. The balance of power has shifted permanently. How did 3 Swedish hackers build something so incredibly resilient and absolutely unkillable? What did they understand about the architecture of the internet that billion-dollar corporations simply failed to grasp? This is not just a story about copyright infringement or stealing movies. It is a fundamental war over the future of information sharing and the absolute limits of governmental control. The masterminds are playing a completely different game. To understand the sheer magnitude of this digital rebellion, we must look at the mastermind behind the code. Gottfrid Svartholm is a technical genius who sees the internet as a borderless domain completely free from corporate ownership. He approaches system architecture with a relentless focus on decentralization and ultimate redundancy. Every line of code he writes is a deliberate strike against the traditional gatekeepers of global media and entertainment. His vision goes far beyond simply allowing teenagers to download the latest blockbuster movies for free. He wants to prove that a decentralized network of ordinary users can effectively outsmart the most powerful legal teams on the planet. The foundation he lays will soon become the absolute worst nightmare for the entire entertainment industry. The digital battlefield is perfectly set for an unprecedented clash of monumental proportions. Law enforcement believes that by seizing physical machines, they can permanently silence the movement. They treat digital information exactly like physical contraband, applying outdated tactics to a completely modern phenomenon. This fundamental misunderstanding of the technology is their greatest weakness. The hackers anticipate every single move the authorities make, preparing countermeasures that operate with lightning speed. The raid is merely a test of their brilliantly orchestrated contingency plan. The shockwave of this failed takedown completely alters the global conversation around internet freedom and copyright enforcement. It exposes the glaring vulnerabilities of the traditional legal system when faced with decentralized technology. The digital pirates have effectively outmaneuvered the global elite, making them look foolish on the international stage. This single event sparks a revolution that will completely redefine the boundaries of digital ownership and online privacy forever. The story truly begins in Stockholm back in 2001. Gottfrid Svartholm sits cross-legged on his bedroom floor watching cables snake from a jury-rigged server hidden under his bed. He is 19 years old with a skeptical smile and eyes that light up intensely when discussing complex cryptography. His online handle is Anacotta, a name that will soon become both a legendary myth and a curse. In 2003, he and 2 close allies wired together a digital tracker as a side project for an anti-copyright collective operating from a gritty Stockholm warehouse. Their mission is exceptionally clear: to make global file sharing entirely frictionless. They want absolutely no gatekeepers, no apologies, and absolutely no tracking logs of any kind. Gottfrid Home Server rapidly becomes the beating heart of this radical experiment. The tracking system catches fire much faster than any of them could have ever predicted. By late 2004, their hobby project officially has a name and 40,000 active users, swapping everything from open-source software to the latest Hollywood releases. Every single file downloaded passes directly through the machine under Gottfrid bed. The skyrocketing bandwidth bills quickly start making his parents extremely nervous and concerned. Realizing they need massive commercial hosting fast, they launch a completely independent hosting company with one absolute rule. We host anything, and we keep zero logs for anyone. While established competitors quickly fold under intense legal pressure, this new company wears takedown notices like honorable merit badges. They operate as highly secure, no questions asked operators, with considerable technical expertise in successfully withstanding aggressive legal attacks from angry corporations. The underlying translation of their business model is basically an open challenge to the establishment. Bring your multi-million-dollar lawsuits if you can, because we actively dare you. The legal dares begin to pile up incredibly quickly on their desks. In early 2004, furious Hollywood attorneys send a harsh cease-and-desist letter demanding the immediate removal of highly profitable animated movies from the servers. Gottfrid's response to the legal threat quickly becomes legendary internet folklore. He politely informs the furious corporate lawyers that Sweden is absolutely not a state within the United States of America. He explicitly states that under their jurisdiction, no Swedish law is being violated whatsoever. He boldly declares that it is the professional opinion of his team and their legal counsel that the Hollywood attorneys are complete and utter morons. Instead of cowering in fear, the hacker team immediately posts the entire profane exchange directly on their public homepage. The aggressive letter goes massively viral across the early internet forums. Traffic to their site literally triples overnight as millions flock to see the audacity. Every single legal threat sent their way magically transforms into absolutely free advertising for their rapidly growing outlaw brand. The establishment is playing right into their hands. By mid-2005, the platform is managing incredible global traffic that would make most modern tech startups extremely envious. The entire site runs on elegant code that Gottfrid writes mostly alone, including a custom system that coordinates data sharing across millions of machines simultaneously. At its peak, 25 million peers worldwide connect through their robust infrastructure. It ranks among the top 100 sites on the internet. The user interface remains deliberately bare, featuring only a simple search bar, a pirate ship logo, and an endless ocean of digital content. Underneath that deceptive simplicity, Gottfrid silently architects something rapidly approaching digital immortality. Every new user joining the swarm automatically makes the entire network significantly harder to destroy. It is no longer just a regular website, but a living digital organism growing much faster than anyone can regulate. The immense growth of the network sparks mounting fury within the heavily entrenched Motion Picture Association. Their aggressive lawsuits against individual everyday downloaders are completely failing to stop the digital bleeding. The real target is the underlying infrastructure, making all of this frictionless sharing possible. And that specific infrastructure currently has a known physical home address located right in the heart of Sweden. The powerful hunters are firmly locking their sights. By early 2006, powerful corporate lobbyists are actively working diplomatic channels, aggressively pushing Swedish officials to take immediate action. Frantic emails fly back and forth between angry Hollywood executives and hesitant Stockholm authorities. The political pressure builds exponentially behind closed doors. Swedish law enforcement, normally very hands-off about internet regulation, suddenly starts feeling intense political heat directly from across the Atlantic Ocean. The government wants this solved. In May, Gottfrid phone suddenly vibrates with a dire warning from a trusted contact hiding deep inside the national telecom industry. The tactical police units are rapidly mobilizing for a massive strike. He quickly calls his partners, having meticulously wargamed this exact nightmare scenario for many long months. Their disaster recovery plan is brilliantly simple and highly effective. Fully encrypted database backups already sit waiting on secure servers in the Netherlands. If the main physical infrastructure completely falls, they are fully prepared to rebuild the entire platform from scratch before the evening news finishes broadcasting. Gottfrid has spent 2 exhausting years making absolutely sure the site's entire massive existence can easily fit on a tiny thumb drive. It is engineered to seamlessly resurrect anywhere on the globe with basic electricity and internet bandwidth. Now that ultimate preparation faces its greatest test. As 53 armed officers prepare to violently smash down the doors of the data center, they fail to realize a crucial fact. They are about to seize heavy metal hardware, while the actual data is already safely located halfway across the continent. When the authorities finally hit the server rooms, they triumphantly haul away useless metal boxes. They have essentially captured an entirely empty digital fortress, completely devoid of actual value. The failure of the raid spectacularly transforms into the most successful marketing campaign the pirate crew has ever seen. Sarcastic press conferences held by the founders completely mock the bewildered authorities on national television. They calmly explained that any brief site downtime was merely to scale up massive server capacity to handle the explosive new traffic the police conveniently provided. Hollywood tried to assassinate them, but accidentally made them immortal instead. Embarrassed prosecutors eventually dragged the defiant founders into a highly publicized spectacle trial in early 2009. The defense brilliantly frames the platform as a perfectly legal search engine, merely pointing to content rather than actively hosting it. The courtroom dynamics swing wildly between dense technical minutiae and grand philosophical warfare regarding internet freedom. The hackers treat the serious proceedings exactly like an entertaining tech conference mocking prosecutors openly. Despite their brilliant technical defense, the relentless pressure from billionaire corporations ultimately secures a guilty verdict from the stern judge. Each defendant receives a harsh 1-year prison sentence and collective fines reaching several $1,000,000. The establishment desperately wants to send a terrifying message to anyone daring to challenge their supreme authority. But the incredibly defiant digital architects have absolutely no intention of quietly surrendering to the outdated legal system. Immediately following the harsh verdict, the website updates its main logo to feature a gagged cartoon mouse silently protesting corporate censorship. The convicted founders openly mock the multi-million-dollar fines, publicly vowing that they will never voluntarily pay a single cent to the greedy industry. While the lengthy appeal processes automatically delay their actual imprisonment, the incredibly defiant platform continues to operate smoothly. The real battle has only just begun. When the highest national courts finally refuse to hear any further legal appeals, the harsh prison sentences become fully enforceable. Authorities arrive to swiftly collect the notorious defendants, but they quickly discover that one key figure is mysteriously missing. Gottfrid, the brilliant technical architect and the master coder who actually built the unkillable machine, has completely vanished into thin air. The authorities are left staring at empty rooms and cold trails. He officially misses his final appeal hearing, claiming severe illness, but investigative media reports heavily suggest he has permanently fled to Cambodia. Interpol immediately issues high-priority red notices, broadcasting his face to law enforcement agencies globally. Swedish diplomats frantically contact various Southeast Asian governments desperately seeking cooperation. But capturing a brilliant digital ghost who communicates strictly through heavily encrypted channels proves to be an incredibly frustrating and nearly impossible task. For many long months, the elusive fugitive completely avoids detection, living exactly like the radical ideology he originally coded. He remains entirely stateless, highly mobile, and absolutely impossible to pin down by traditional law enforcement. Occasional unverified sightings place him hunched over a laptop in humid internet cafes, but he always vanishes before police can strike. He is rumored to be actively building secure infrastructure for the world's most notorious whistleblowers. Meanwhile, the massive file-sharing platform strongly refuses to die, with its absent founders actively evolving beyond their initial control. The site aggressively abandons traditional physical files, entirely switching to a brilliant system of simple magnetic text links. You cannot easily confiscate a mathematical equation or raid a simple string of text. The digital entity has beautifully streamlined itself, becoming leaner, faster, and completely immune to standard police seizure tactics. But Gottfrid's personal narrative is about to take a sudden and extremely dark turn in the humid streets of Phnom Penh. In late August 2012, a specialized joint task force finally closes the immense distance after 18 months of relentless hunting. Heavily armed Cambodian police violently splinter the door of his waterfront apartment. They find the bearded hacker calmly surrounded by empty energy drinks and glowing screens. Within 72 rapid hours, he is forcefully deported directly back to Stockholm to finally serve his outstanding copyright sentence. However, Swedish prosecutors have quietly prepared a completely new and devastating set of serious criminal charges against him. They strongly suspect his time off the grid was not merely spent hiding in the shadows. They firmly believe he was actively executing incredibly sophisticated cyber attacks against highly sensitive national infrastructure. The shocking new indictment alleges unauthorized access to secure government databases and an incredibly audacious attempted assault on major banking systems. Investigators claim someone utilizing his specific computer hardware successfully breached a massive technology contractor managing the National Tax Authority. The digital intrusion perfectly extracted confidential identification records for thousands of unsuspecting citizens. The master hacker is no longer just a copyright rebel, he is now deemed a severe national threat. Gottfrid aggressively denies these heavy accusations, presenting a highly technical and remarkably plausible defense strategy in the courtroom. He forcefully argues that his laptop was maliciously compromised by unknown external actors who secretly used it as a remote proxy. He claims he was merely a digital puppet, presenting complex forensic evidence that hidden malware was successfully planted on his machine. Security researchers actually confirm his system was indeed severely infected. Despite the brilliant remote-controlled defense, the highly divided Swedish court delivers a crushing split verdict against the notorious hacker. They find him guilty of aggressively hacking into the government contractor systems while dismissing the unproven banking fraud charges entirely. The harsh judgment explicitly acknowledges external computer infections, but ultimately holds him legally responsible for the devastating digital breach. He is sentenced to more time locked inside a cold prison cell. As the brilliant architect begins serving his grueling new sentence in Sweden, another nation is quietly preparing its own devastating attack. Denmark has been desperately investigating a massive cybersecurity breach of their own highly sensitive national systems. Someone recently breached a major contractor managing confidential police databases and incredibly secure social security mainframes. It stands as one of the absolutely worst data intrusions in the entire history of Scandinavia. Frustrated Danish digital investigators meticulously trace scattered chat logs and distinct electronic fingerprints directly back to a very familiar alias. As Gottfrid finally finishes his lengthy Swedish prison term, Denmark aggressively demands his immediate international extradition. He is forcefully transferred directly to a cold facility in Copenhagen and immediately placed into strict solitary confinement. The psychological pressure mounts as he faces a completely new and incredibly unforgiving judicial system. The highly anticipated Danish trial commences with incredible intensity as prosecutors present mountains of complex digital forensic evidence. They detail a sophisticated 6-month intrusion directly into the most secure government mainframes imaginable. Gottfrid's legal team aggressively doubles down on the external manipulation theory, claiming someone else entirely used his famous online identity. They argue a completely different hacker committed the actual crimes, while hiding brilliantly behind his legendary reputation. Despite the incredibly bold defense strategy, the unforgiving jury simply refuses to buy the complex alternative narrative presented to them. The recovered digital evidence is absolutely overwhelming, showing stolen national data explicitly stored on his personal hard drives. On a dark October day, the devastating guilty verdict officially arrives, sealing his immediate fate. The judge hands down 3.5 years, representing the harshest hacking sentence in Danish history. Hearing the absolutely crushing verdict, Gottfrid displays absolutely zero emotion in the sterile and completely silent courtroom. 3 exhausting years of constant running, 2 massive international trials, and multiple severe convictions have completely drained the fight from his eyes. The establishment has finally managed to securely lock away the brilliant digital mastermind who originally dared to mock their absolute power. The legendary pirate is securely chained inside a concrete box. When he finally walks out of the Danish prison years later, he is remarkably thin and visibly hardened by the isolation. Sweden briefly arrests him one final time to resolve lingering bureaucratic prison sentences before finally setting him completely free. His mother quietly tells waiting reporters that after years of severe isolation, he simply wants to sit peacefully at a computer keyboard again. The brilliant mastermind has lived the ultimate hacker tragedy. But the incredible file-sharing machine he originally built completely refuses to die despite the heavy imprisonment of its brilliant creator. The legendary platform completely outlives multiple international raids, dozens of aggressive domain seizures, and endless global blockades. Maintained entirely by anonymous digital believers, the vast system continues seamlessly serving massive amounts of data from totally unreachable secret locations. The resilient digital organism has successfully evolved far beyond any human control. The relentless pursuit of three young hackers provided a brutal and incredibly expensive lesson for the terrified global establishment. You simply cannot execute or imprison a decentralized idea once it has fully infected the entire global network. They seized every single server and locked the brilliant founders in cold cages, yet the digital pirate ship continues sailing smoothly. The ultimate masterminds permanently proved that true digital freedom is absolutely unkillable. This epic saga permanently altered the fundamental landscape of global internet architecture and modern digital security measures. It serves as a chilling documentary thriller, warning powerful corporations about the absolute limits of their traditional legal enforcement. The brilliant architects may have lost their personal freedom, but they undeniably won the ultimate technological war. The immortal digital beast they unleashed forever remains a massive ghost, perfectly hiding deep within the complex wires